Both teams are ready to go.
Fire, mysterious as the dark side of the
I still got the Disney music rocking here. Okay. So for those of you who stuck around, thank you, I appreciate it.
Dire team banned. Radiant team banned.
And we're into the draft. So, sorry, doing a little admin work there. The production value of today I know has been a little bit rough with the forfeited games, with Team Anarchy showing up at the last second here. I had switched over to another game in the heroic bracket, and that squad actually did forfeit, so I had to jump back here watching the Dota TV channel, which provided a 6-minute delay. But good job to Kick-Ass Patrol in game 1. They stuck it out for as long as they could. They had a great start and then kind of lost it in the middle game there as Spider started to snowball wildly out of control, and as a result you see the immediate respect band going out for not only the Broodmother but also the Spirit Breaker. They had enough of both of those heroes for one day, and they're not going to see him here again in game 2. Team Anarchy banning out the Undying.
10 seconds remaining.
Now taking a little bit more time here on ban 2, figuring out what they want to do, and they ban out the Doom.
Dire team pick.
One of the strongest heroes in 685 right now, kind of a staple in the pro circuit, as Scorched Earth provides, let's call it a broken level of regeneration for Doom in the early phases of the game. There's apparently a bot in my channel spewing complete nonsense and what is almost certainly a link to a virus. So, Moobot doing its thing and muting those links.
Radiant team pick.
Team Anarchy picking up the Dazzle again. Definitely one of the strongest supports in my opinion, as he does grant his team immortality. And that's a hard skill to beat as a support. I remember Winter Wyvern,
Templar Assassin.
also providing quite a bit of skill himself with the Winter's Curse, able to disable, if he's lucky, the entirety of the Team Anarchy team.
Dire team banned.
Wind Ranger being picked up by Kick-Ass Patrol. We saw a Wind Ranger performance earlier today by a certain Goku from the EU bracket, and although his power shots were a little bit off, his shackle shots were definitely on point. And I think more than the nuke of power shot, that shackle shot's really what you look to command as a Wind Ranger. That, and of course, the infamous Focus Fire, which is specifically why the Wind Ranger always seems to rush the Aghanim Scepter, because that ultimate is so powerful that
5 seconds remaining.
she melts towers, especially when she gets that
Radiant team banned.
It's definitely worth investing some coin into to help bolster that ability. Kick-Ass Patrol refocusing their ban tactics to some of the supports, banning out the Disruptor and the Earthshaker. Team Anarchy, meanwhile, banning out some of the current popular meta heroes with the Doom, the Tusker, the Darkseer. And it's not a bad call. A lot of those heroes are very difficult to play against, and if played properly can really disrupt what you're trying to accomplish with your strategy.
10 seconds remaining.
Give me just a brief second here, guys, as I want to make sure the stream does get back underway here. And everything runs smoothly. I know I had to cut the previous stream off, even though there was a 4-minute buffer. I cut into that in order to get the 7-minute delay started on this one and still capture the draft. So the fun work of a caster, dealing with a bunch of this programming delay nonsense and all that stuff. So give me just 1 second. I apologize.
Ten seconds remaining.
Spectre.
Dire team pick. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time.
Chaos Knight.
Radiant team, bang.
Alright, I'm back with you guys. Sorry about the delay here. You have a couple picks that I missed. Is going to be the Invoker. Proving me wrong, Kick-Ass Patrol will be playing the Invoker this match. And Chaos Knight presumably going to be taking the safe lane hard carry role here. And in return you have Spectre most likely playing the hard carry for Team Anarchy, with Clockwork taking the off lane. Final bands coming out here, and I'd really like to see Team Anarchy actually pick up a support silencer here in the 4th role. They ban out IO, preventing the infamous IO-CK combo. It's not a bad idea here. With Windranger most likely taking the off lane, they'll probably be looking to pick up another support hero to complement the Chaos Knight.
5 seconds remaining.
And it looks like the stream is back.
Time.
7 minutes delayed, but live, so those of you still on the channel, thank you again for hanging out. We're getting ready to begin game number 2 here between Kick-Ass Patrol and Team Anarchy in the AD2L Season 9 tournament. For those of you just tuning into this channel for the first time, I am Darmin, coming to you live via twitch.tv/DarminCast, Twitter @DarminCast, and a YouTube channel with a bunch of funky characters. I'm trying to secure myself DarminCast, but of course you have to have a certain level or a certain number of views or videos up before you could do that. So building up the repertoire now, and I'll eventually have that URL. Until then, there's a link in my profile description to my
Reserve
YouTube channel
time.
for all of my VODs. Speaking of VODs, the VODs, VODs, however you want to pronounce it. Those will be available for both Game 1 and Game 2 of tonight's matchup by the end of the night, most likely, as soon as I have time to parse through the highlights on Twitch and upload them to YouTube. So, shouldn't take too long, and they'll be up for review, sharing, liking, subscribing, and all that stuff. Team Anarchy, instead of picking up the support Silencer, go with the support Naga Siren. So, similar in the sense that she can help control the tempo of a team fight. I like Silencer for the fact that you do a global silence and then Spectre ult in. Naga provides that same element of control, where she can song, Spectre ult, taunts in, release the Naga Siren ult, and then they crush whoever they want to.
5 seconds remaining.
Kick-Ass Patrol deciding for their 5th slots, they're going to pick up an Ember Spear. By 5th slot, I don't mean 5th slot support. I hope that's not a 5th slot support Ember Spirit. And it doesn't look like it's going to be. It looks like the 2 supports are going to be Chickonometry on the Winter and Dr. Dread on the Wind Ranger. So, mixing up the lanes here a little bit and trying to throw Team Anarchy off the strategy that they were building towards. But we'll see how it works out for them here in Game 2 between Kick-Ass Patrol and Team Anarchy. Going through introductions real quick. Let's start with Spectre. You have Dark Moon Blade playing the Spectre, grabbing up some tangos, Poor Man's Shield. On the presumably support Naga, you're gonna have Guppy grabbing a Poor Man's Shield and some tangos of his own. So we'll see what happens with him. El Polo Diablo playing the Templar Assassin, grabbing more than enough regen for himself, and he will probably be going mid. Alongside him is the Dazzle, being played by Tiny Ant King once again. So he's sticking in his wheelhouse.
30 seconds to battle!
And together they're going to secure this bottom rune, and it looks like Kick-Ass Patrol going to secure the top one. More or less uncontested. Clockwork did rotate top, screw down an Observer Ward to... I don't think that'll prevent the spawn, but it will provide him vision for when they do decide to pull, and any rotations that Kick-Ass Patrol might want to make. Merely Mortal, who had a dominant performance in Game 1 in the off lane as the Broodmother, will this time be playing the Clockwork, and if he goes 20-2 with Clockwork, I will tip my hat and bow down. Yeah, BizPop in chat here. Playing around with some of the bot commands. The music streaming is obviously down right now as a game is underway. You have a rotation from Kick-Ass Patrol here as Chickonometry tries to rotate behind Merely Mortal. Get a bit of the harass damage out as he pops Arctic Burn and slows him down. He is going to have the cogs try to push Chickonometry back, but is slightly off the mark. He'll eat a little bit of damage from the creeps, but that's going to be about it. And he's buying space for Silky. Speaking of Chickonometry, going through... I'll make sure I didn't miss anything. The callouts here, we have Chickonometry playing the Winter Wyvern, and he is going to be supporting and backing up Silky Johnson, who's off to a decent start here in the last hits, leading the way with 6 last hits, 3 denies, as Chickonometry was able to provide him a bit of that early space. In the middle lane, once again, you have 17 Shortcuts playing the Ember Spirit. Looking bizarre as hell. Is his neck broken? Why is he constantly looking up? And as he's constantly looking up, he decides to charge forward against El Polo Diablo, popping the Flame Guard and doing a little bit of damage here. Then in the bottom lane, you have the duo of Dr. Dread playing the support Wind Ranger, and then I'm never going to pronounce this name correctly, but Yukaiko? I'm going to assume it's Yukaiko, rocking the Magnus Apex with several gems in it. He has Sunstrike kills, Godlike Sprees, victories, and providing him the Eye of Sauron, Quas, Wex, and Invoke, or an Exort. I don't even know what those are called. Bobbles? Bubbles? Whatever they're called. Spawns that are rotating around him. Both squads just exchanging a little bit of right-click damage here, but I think... Oh, Darkmoon Blade looking to rotate, or not rotate, but dive deep here, and he gets a bit underneath the tower. Now Tiny Ant King eating a bunch of tower damage and some right-click from Invoker. Is he going to be able to survive? He does. He shallow graves himself, eats a little bit of damage, rotates back into the jungle, pops a healing salve, and he's going to be right as rain. Darkmoon Blade, meanwhile, as he retreats, stops for a brief moment, eats some damage from the creeps, not a whole lot thanks to the poor man's shield, but he also eats a right click from the Quas Wex building Invoker. At least that's what I assume he's going to be building.
Right. All things
so far we're 4 minutes or so into game 1, and already this game is looking to be a little less, and I completely missed this hero. Guppy playing the Naga Siren. I forgot to give him his call out because he's been hiding in the jungle. And that's why he went with the poor man's shield and a bunch of tangos. So he wasn't quite able to stack the camp here, but he'll look to pull here and he'll get half the wave. But already in game 2 here, we're 4.5 minutes out, and by this point in game 1, we had 4 or 5 kills. But a rotation here from Guppy out of the jungle towards Dr. Dread is almost going to catch him out, and that's after they nearly killed Spectre. After the Kick-Ass Patrol nearly killed Spectre. And now Yukaiko thrown out a little right-click harass damage against Tiny Ant King, who, as he retreats, throws a healing salve onto Spectre, so he'll be able to survive in the lane. Meanwhile, in the middle, you have a couple blades of attack being couriered out to El Polo Diablo, who's sitting on top of a bottled haste rune. He's going to finish his phase boots here, and he still has a healing salve and a full bottle to his name, so he should be relatively safe. Ember Spirit sitting on a full bottle himself won't be doing too bad. In the off lane, Merely Mortal able to get a couple last hits, not many, sitting at 3, as Trigonometry is constantly harassing him out of the lane. So not nearly the start that he had in game 1, but again, it wasn't really the start that led him into the position he found himself in at the end of game 1. It was kind of that mid-game range when he started to get a couple items. He finished his Midas and then quickly snowballed out of control, going from a Midas to a Radiance in, I don't know, it was like 17 seconds. It was something pretty insane. Battle over the bottom rune here. 17 shortcuts, tries to secure it for himself, but Guppy snatching it from underneath his face. He's just going to retreat back, and nearly cost him his life for a rune, but he was able to secure it. Meanwhile, Merely Mortal just kind of hanging out, not getting a lot of last hits for himself, but he is getting that experience that he needs to make himself ganking threat in this game by hitting level 6 and getting that hook shot. You can see Trigonometry popping his Arctic Burn and flying in and just right-click harassing Merely Mortal, who pops the cogs and a healing salve trying to pull the lane back his way, but not quite enough. El Polo Diablo in the middle lane, securing plenty of last hits for himself and has since passed up Silky Johnson and farm. And sitting behind him is the Guppy, who's kind of been rotating between the bot and middle. Mostly focusing on jungle farm here, but not afraid to show his face in lane anytime this top lane starts to push too far forward. But the shackle shot coming out from Dr. Dread is going to be enough to delay Spectre's escape, and that's going to be first blood, again going the way of Kick-Ass Patrol. Hopefully they're able to capitalize on it here in game number 2 and snowball themselves. Other than that, a relatively calm start. It's a 7-minute first blood in game number 2 here, so the tempo has certainly changed from game 1. You have El Polo Diablo getting caught out of position here slightly, looking for the top rune, but Trigonometry's in position and isn't going to allow her to get it. Drops a couple wards himself, and now he's kind of stuck on this high ground for another 20 seconds. Maybe he's able to poke these ogres, get a little farm himself. They're all just kind of hanging out. So this bottom lane, I'm not sure what the setup is here. You have Invoker, who has 3 last hits, 6 denies, and Dr. Dread, who's sitting on 12 last hits and 0 denies. So I'm not sure who's actually going for the farm here. Dr. Dread rotates forward, dives underneath the tower, pops Wind Run to escape, and Invoker's there to help him out with a tornado. He's also got Cold Snap on reserve if he needs it. But Dark Moonblade staying within the comfort of his tower doesn't chase too far, especially after that Wind Run had been popped. Tiny Ant King lurking in the shadows, throwing out heals as necessary as he continues to stack. Or no, he just did a creep pull. Meanwhile, Guppy is now in the top lane. Trigonometry popping the Arctic Burn and going after one of the illusions, maybe baited out a spell there.
As
Guppy tries to individually control each of these illusions and scout out the enemy. TA is going to secure this next rune here as Merely Mortal rotates down to assist her as well. Shackle shot being thrown onto Dark Moonblade, and the Tornado EMP does hit along with a Cold Snap here. 17 shortcuts rotates in and connects with Spectre before she's able to make a retreat. Merely Mortal rotated down throughout a hook shot, but by that point Spectre was already dead, so he disengages and they call it a day. Kick-Ass Patrol securing their second kill in this bottom lane here, and that's 2 kills going against the Spectre.
Oh, look, Dyer's fortified, I see.
Who, even though he's died twice, is still sitting ahead of both of the off lanes here in Dr. Dread and Yukaiko. So it'll be interesting to see how this lane develops. And in the middle lane, I missed the first kill going the way of... Oh, excuse me.
Dyer's middle tower is under attack.
The Team Anarchy, as El Polo Diablo is able to drop Ember Spirit, and now he looks to apply pressure to this middle tower. In the bot lane, I missed another TA kill. Not from TA, but Team Anarchy, as they are able to dive beneath the tower and kill Invoker. Now Silky Johnson's rotated from the safety of his top lane into the bot lane, and he looks to make a move against Dark Moonblade here. And with one more right click, that's going to be it. Dr. Dread securing that one. And El Polo Diablo is able to finish the tower before 17 shortcuts, rotates back into position, but by doing so, she stayed a little bit too late and more or less exchanged her life for a tower. And sitting on top of the net worth chart, maybe not the best trade, but it does secure for her team a bit more of map control, which proved hugely advantageous to them in game 1. So she may value that mid tower more than her own life. We'd have to ask her to know for sure. We have BizPop asking if this is entry or heroic level. This is entry, and so they're saying they're here to scout then. By all means, that's what these videos are for. I'm not giving away anything that you couldn't watch and observe yourself just by purchasing a ticket. Again, those tickets are for the AD2L tournament. I think they're going for $1 in the Steam store, so it's not the most expensive thing. And all the videos on demand should be readily available there. Some action going on middle, but 17 shortcuts jumps back to his side of the map as Chaos Knight is able to secure for himself a kill against the Nagasaun in the top lane. So you have two very disparate strategies here. Haunt coming in from the Spectre, who jumps into the bottom lane. They're pinging out bot. Tiny Ant King there with the Sentry Ward. They're going to be able to find him, and TA gets in position and just on the edge of the Sentry Ward punches Invoker in the face, and down he goes. So you have 4 out of the 5 TA squad members here in the bottom lane, and Dr. Dread needs to be very careful here. If he gets caught out, they'll be able to dive behind this tower with ease and make short work of him. But for now, they're just clearing out the creep wave and applying pressure to this tower, and I think they're going to take it. But heavy rotations coming out from Chickonometry. Dr. Dread doing as much damage as he can to Dark Moon Blade, who does get shallow graved. And now Chaos Knight is in position to help out as well. Yukaiku rotating up, seeing if he can't catch out a Tornado EMP. But Team Anarchy rotate out. And so far, it looks like Tiny Ant King's going to get caught out with a Slide of Fist and Searing Change, and then a huge Tornado catching 3, finishing the Dazzle. Looking for the EMP here, maybe, but nope, doesn't have it on cooldown. And is going to try to retreat through the same Sentry Ward that caught him before, and that's a 2-for-2 exchange, with the Ember Spirit and Invoker being traded away for the Dazzle and the Spectre. Little bit of a gold advantage and experience advantage favoring Team Anarchy, but you don't want your Spectre dying that many times. But going back to the disparate strategies here, you have Team Anarchy who are playing the 4-core strat with the Spectre, the farming Naga. I don't really think she's playing a support role whatsoever. Yeah, she's got the arcane boots, but I think that's more for herself to push mirror images, as she's constantly pushing in the off lane, farming the jungle, etc. Then you have Spectre doing the Spectre stuff. He's obviously going to be a core. TA, same story there. And Clockwork providing the initiation. A little bit of Arctic Burn, harass damage, and maybe a Winter's Curse that was meant to see if there were additional heroes in the area looking to support TA, but that wasn't the case. Chickonometry picking up the haste rune. Sprints back to the middle lane to rejoin his allies. Circle being drawn out by Invoker, I'm not quite sure what that's to indicate, but both teams posturing up here in the bottom lane. Big hookshot comes out from Merely Mortal as he latches onto the Invoker, who is visible underneath this Sentry Ward, and being cogged in place, he's going to fall. And now Dark Moon Blade looks to continue the hunt as he throws a dagger out against Chickonometry, who will likely fall here in 2 more hits. But the Searing Chains may stop him in place here. Merely Mortal gets the... Oh! I expected the right click followed by the rocket. And instead he just pauses, throws the rocket, and that's going to be a misplay that allows Winter Wyvern to escape with his life. Ever so barely. All he needed was that one right click. Clockwork had stepped forward, punched, and then rocketed. That would have been the end of him. Shortcuts jumping into position here, seeing if he and his allies can defend this tier 2 tower. Shackle shot being thrown out on El Polo Diablo, and they'll likely drop her here, but the Naga Siren comes out, and now El Polo Diablo teleports out, and Guppy is there, standing against 5, secures the escape for TA, but is going to fall as a result. Definitely making him work for it, though. All 5 heroes surrounding her, though, she's not going anywhere. That doesn't mean that she gives it up for free. Meanwhile, Spectre just kind of hanging out in the bottom lane, farming up the jungle, trying to recover from some of his early game deaths in the laning phase. And this may be the strategy that Kick-Ass Patrol were looking for. Here at the 20-minute mark, they're grouped up, pushing together. You have 17 shortcuts clearing out the off lane, but you have rotations coming in from Guppy and Clockwork, Tornado EMP, Throne and Land, but Templar Assassin rotating into the background, dropping Wind Ranger very quickly, blinking forward, just crit exploding the Winter Wyvern, and now Kick-Ass Patrol are going to have to retreat. Invoker stepping back, Silky Johnson having eaten several damaging shots from the TA himself is going to have to rotate. Merely Mortal continuing to have connectivity issues here in the second game. You could see something was a little bit up because as he rotated into the middle lane, he rotated in and then just kind of sat there. Ate the EMP, didn't move, and that was it. It was due to that disconnect. So, but he's reconnected. They're asking if this server's on East. The response is East China. Yeah, I think that's fair. You didn't specify what East. I thought you meant the Far East.
Boom! There it goes!
Naga having finished her ring. TA just farming the dire jungle here. And this is starting to look like game 1 where Team Anarchy just farm wherever they please and encroach into Kick-Ass Patrol's territory, but there's a heavy rotation going on here as they do try to catch Templar Assassin out of position, and just the tail end of the tornado does land. Cold Snaps popped. Ultimate from Chickonometry, and this will probably be the end of Diablo. Yep. There's the Reality Rift, bringing her back into the loving embrace of Kick-Ass Patrol is the 3-hero gang squad are able to drop her. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, 17 Shortcuts is going to limp away with barely any health to his name, and Invoker rotates to the bottom here. Ghost walking around, trying to be sneaky and stay underneath the radar here. Now he looks to make a go on Guppy here. Doing a little bit of chip damage. Naga-san still sitting on her ult, so she's not in too much danger of dying unless she misplaces something bad. Meanwhile, in the top lane, KAP continue to push. They melted the tier 1 tower. Now they're looking to push tier 2. Tiny Ant King, the only hero from TA in position, and as a result, he gets stunned, and Silky Johnson jumps on him, destroying him. Chickonometry, meanwhile, baiting out Dark Moon Blade's Reality Rift, and by throwing himself into the cold embrace, there's nothing that the Spectre could do there, especially as he doesn't have Radiance yet, so even that minuscule mana, not mana, but that burn damage wasn't there to finish him inside of the cold embrace. And that gave, it was Chaos Knight, yep, who got a double kill. So misplay from Team Anarchy here is allowing Kick-Ass Patrol to stay in the game. They secure 2 towers for themselves, evening out the tower score more or less, and securing some much needed gold for the hard carry on Kick-Ass Patrol, who's now approaching the same net worth as Templar Assassin after that huge influx of gold. Now he's looking to make a go on Guppy. Reality riffs in. He doesn't have a stun. And the song is called. And now they're looking to make a turn here. You have hookshot coming in from Doctor, or onto Dr. Dread. Merely Mortal's going to catch out both Dr. Dread and Silky. Inside the cogs, pop the blade mail, and they were completely surrounded. Tiny Ant King there to help bolster Clockwork's armor even more, and just plenty of damage coming out from Team Anarchy. Dark Moon Blade poking 17 shortcuts here, and he immediately gets out of dodge. After this successful re-engagement here against the top, TA start putting their pushing lineup to use with Guppy, Tiny Ant King, and Merely Mortal, remaining down the tier 1 tower. I wasn't sure if Clockwork was just hanging out in the background to provide cover for Guppy in case a hookshot was needed, but nope, it looks like instead it's going to be another disconnect as Merely Mortal struggles to stay connected here. Don't know if it's just the Reborn client, these particular servers, or what the case may be, but he's definitely required a few pauses here through game 1 and into game 2. Bottom lane here you have Invoker stacking and farming some of the Ancients. It wasn't the Ancient Black Dragon, but what was it? It was one of those dragons that looked absolutely ridiculous. I guess it's that, the Ancient Rumblehide. Look at that face. That's a face only a mother could love. Have Dark Moon Blade farming up the bottom here, hanging out in the jungle.
And it's off.
Merely Mortal scouting out with rockets. Just making sure Guppy is in a safe position here. He doesn't have Song, but he does have Tiny Ant King hanging out behind him, so he's going to try to engage here against 17 Shortcuts, who fights for a little bit and then jumps back to a remnant that he had hanging out in the woods. One thing Ember Spirit is doing here every time is he's throwing out safety remnants and then using his boots of travel to get back to base, but then he has to walk back every time. So instead of teleporting out with a remnant in the field and then jumping back to the remnant, he's using everything as an escape. And I mean, this whole time you can see we're just watching him. He's not farming, he's not building towards that next big item, but now he's finally into a lane and back on the farm train. Meanwhile, on the bottom lane, action going on as Silky Johnson starting to be the aggressor here, and he's going to go against Apollo Diablo, who crits back and they're going to trade lives there, as he is able, Templar Assassin is able to drop Silky, but the illusions from the Chaos Knight hanging out long enough to drop El Polo in return. And now you have a tiny Ant King versus a 17 shortcuts. And this is not a winning fight for a Dazzle, so he needs to be very careful here. This tower's going to fall regardless. You just need to get the hell out of there so you don't sacrifice yourself and the tower.
It's fallen.
17 shortcuts may have... He probably should have played that a little bit more aggressively, knowing that the TA and the Clockwork were both dead. And I don't know if he had seen that the Naga was in the top lane or not. Or in the mid lane, rather. But Guppy does get shackled against the tree here. You have rotations coming in from Dazzle. And the song is out, so you're going to look for a counter engage here. Spectre, reality shifts in. And now Merely Mortal pops Cogs. It's going to catch Chicanometry in place. And Dr. Dread's stuck between Cog in a hard place, as he has to run through the enemy jungle, through the enemy tower, in hopes of trying to manage an escape, but Templar Assassin's in position, and she's not going to let her get away that easy. Merely Mortal landing a second hook shot here, as well as the Cogs onto the Invoker, and now the dust is popped, and that's going to be it. They know that this Invoker has been trying to ghost walk through the entire game, and they're ready for it. Having dust on Clockwork, I think they had... Nope, didn't have dust, but they had a Sentry Ward on Tiny Ant King, who had dropped it a little bit beforehand, possibly trying to catch the Invoker out in a bit more of an aggressive position. Now it's back to farm. So while the first game averaged about a kill a minute for both teams through the first 20 minutes, this game approaching the 30-minute mark, we have 30 kills combined. And the score is pretty even. You have one very weak tower standing in the middle lane on the side of Team Anarchy. And the score is 15-15, so you drop this tower, and all of a sudden the scoreboard and the towers are even across both. I think going into the end game, it's going to be difficult because you have your two snowbally heroes here. Not even snowbally. Chaos Knight's a true carry. Ember Spirit's a bit more snowbally, but you have the snowball carry in the form of the Ember Spirit, and you have the hard carry in the form of Silky. If Kick-Ass Patrol can manage to keep those two heroes alive, they may stand a chance, but they're going into, again, a 4-core lineup with a Polo, Dark Moon Blade, Merely Mortal, and Guppy on the Naga Siren. So it's going to be difficult. Naga hasn't really farmed too many items though, so it looks like she is starting to play the true support role, but she's sitting on about 3,300, so I suspect her next pickup is going to be the Radiance, but Spectre's sitting on about the same amount, so I'm not sure what these two are going to be able to do. 17 shortcuts, missed most of it there, but they did catch out both the Tiny Ant King and Merely Mortal. Tiny Ant King buying himself a little bit of time with a Shallow Grave, and Winter Wyvern throwing out a Winter's Curse saying, hey, you're not getting away. I don't know that that was fully necessary, but hey, better safe than sorry. And so that breaks the scoreboard stalemate as Kick-Ass Patrol again take the lead, going up 17-15 against Team Anarchy. 17 shortcuts, having finished a Desolator, so he is starting to hit harder and harder. And he's since been able to eclipse Silky Johnson in terms of net worth. But you have stand-in Yokaiku body blocking the Spectre. He throws out the Tornado slightly off the mark, but Guppy's sitting here in the flanks, and they have Song of the Siren off cooldown, so they need to be careful here about the engagements, and Silky Johnson, seeming to know that, falls back, finishes off a creep wave or two. And now you have Invoker watching the flanks. Winter Wyvern, catching an Invis rune of his own, is going to scout out Dark Moon Blade, and they're going to pounce on her. And very quickly wipe out the Spectre as he goes to farm. And was he able to finish his purchase? He was, so he did pick up the Sacred Relic.
Radiant's middle tower.
Then in the middle lane, Dr. Dread does finish off that tower. So far the 3 protect 2 strat is looking like it's
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
got the advantage right now
Radiant's been fortified
against the 1 or 2. I don't know. They both have a Sacred Relic. Are they going double Radiance? I don't know what the strategy is here with that, but
We're not going anywhere.
ooh, 17 shortcuts making it out with just a minuscule amount of life, and merely mortal hook shotting in, popping blade mail, and now you're gonna start to see some death. Honk comes out, 17 shortcuts being finished off by Dark Moon Blade and his newly acquired Sacred Relic. Chickenometry, the last man standing here as he tries to escape, weaving into and out of the jungle. He has Arctic Burn, but instead he opts to Cold Embrace himself, and it's not going to be enough. And that's a whole 5-man team wipe. Or, if you ask Reborn, just Winter Wyvern dying. Yeah, it's a great fight recap. So you guys see what happened in this fight, right? Winter Wyvern Cold Embraced himself, and that was it. And then Clockwork used a bunch of spells.
Look who's dead.
Oh,
Radiant's to
Reborn.
blame.
You are so fun. So for those of you just tuning in Twitch chat, this is Game 2. Game 1 was won by Team Anarchist, and although they looked like they were starting to lose some traction here in Game 2, they pull off an impressive 5-man team wipe of Kick-Ass Patrol, and now they're still... they've re-secured a footing in this game. They also dove into the Roshan pit and secured the Aegis for themselves, and I think correctly provided it to the Templar Assassin, who has the highest net worth in the game and definitely the highest net worth on her team. Having the Blink, Butterfly, and Desolator.
Blessings.
But last hit's sitting pretty even between her, the Ember Spirit, and the CK. But as we all know, that's not the only thing that counts. You also count the kills, and there's a heavy concentration with half of the kills going to Templar Assassin right now, out of the 20 kills. And that does equate to a stockpile of gold for her. Radiance online for Naga Siren here, and you also have a Radiance online for Spectre. Not the best synergy, I guess, to get 2. That's a very expensive item to have duplicates of, because those Radiance burns don't stack. Naga doing the Naga thing where pulls the wave and catches them out. Dazzle being caught out of position here by a smoked 3-man Kick-Ass Patrol squad, who, after that kill, are looking to possibly press into the middle lane here. 17 shortcuts run out. Slide of Fist, Searing Chains, and they're slightly off the mark, not catching the Spectre. And a song comes out from Naga. I'm not sure what where that was in position for it. I mean, it does catch Dr. Dread by the looks of it, and they burn the Aegis, but now Silky Johnson's just going to town here, stuck inside the cogs, but Chickonometry's outside of the cogs, and he's able to slow down the tempo of the fight with Winter's Curse being tossed onto TA after she respawns from the Aegis. And this is the opening that Kick-Ass Patrol have been looking for. They cornered Dark Moon Blade into the woods here, and they're not quite able to finish her. So instead, she drops Silky Johnson on the Chaos Knight, and now it's Clockwork who's being the aggressor. 17 Shortcuts does finally catch up to the Spectre and finish her off, but the buybacks and rotations from Tiny Ant King and Merely Mortal completely turned around that fight. Merely Mortal playing exceptionally well right now, and he lands another hook shot to completely reverse the team fight dynamic here. God damn it, I hate you, Reborn. So as you can see, that's,
there it goes.
what was it, 5-man? It was 5-man plus Aegis dying for Team Anarchist, and 5 men dying for Kick-Ass Patrol. All of that equates to just 182 gold, apparently, according to Reborn's fight cap.
Players here.
But overall, I think that's a big win for Kick-Ass Patrol, even though they lost all 5 heroes. Had the Clockwork not bought back and completely disrupted that chase against the Spectre, and kudos to Spectre as well for having cornered himself in the jungle. I don't know how, but he somehow escaped through the Chaos Knight, through the Chaos Knight illusions, through the Ember Spirit, and kited everyone down over here. And so they had to chase from about this region here through the high ground here, and that allowed Clockwork time to buy back, teleport to here. He hooked into the Chaos Knight, boxed them up in the cogs, and it created just chaos for the Kick-Ass Patrol, who were torn between retreating, trying to fight newly respawned full health Clockwork, or chasing after the Spectre, who they desperately wanted to kill because she was sitting at literally one hit and dancing around them just to mock them. Ultimately, they did kill the Spectre, with 17 Shortcuts thrown out. A very solid sleight of fist, catching her with the final hit there, but it was a costly chase.
Coming in.
Now Guppy having the Boots of Travel online is going to continuously start applying pressure here as those illusions burn down the waves. 17 Shortcuts meanwhile engaging, catching Guppy out, and he has to pop his ultimate for the second time in about 2 to 3 minutes, this time to escape. And I think a lot of that first engagement came from Dr. Dread being a bit aggressive, and he was caught out like here, and Naga Siren ulted from here. So the entirety of the Kick-Ass Patrol squad were in the jungle, like in this region. So yeah, Dread was asleep, but everyone else was very much alive from Kick-Ass Patrol back here. And that's how they were able to drop TA immediately, even though she was caught inside the cogs. She was caught inside the cogs. Sorry about that. I'm too infatuated with that previous fight. She was caught inside the cogs with a very violent Silky and all of his illusions. And it was in the top lane that Spectre apparently fell once again. I don't know to what. Oh, an Ember Spirit. 17 Shortcuts. Working towards his crystal, his second Chrysalis, and he's got a Bracer? Oh, I assume he just swapped out the Bracer into the stash. So he's got 2 Chrysalis, Deso, and a Battle Fury.
Radiant's middle tower
Now
is
Kick-Ass Patrol regrouping, and I think this is the right call for them. They've been doing well when they group up together, even though they're fighting into a lineup that should, on paper, work together very well. Merely Mortal hookshot is finally off the mark, so he hooks into a creep wave, and now on the front line, Silky Johnson carving through people, but El Polo Diablo doing a fair amount of damage himself. And now in the background, Guppy, Dark Moonblade are just cutting through the supports, leaving Silky Johnson, even though he was a beast on the front lines, he's now alone on the front lines. And 17 shortcuts, trying to save him, do everything he can, but he's going to have to escape himself. You have pings coming out from the Dazzle, as he knows there's a static remnant over here. So Dark Moonblade looking to get in position of this static remnant, and just in time to catch 17 shortcuts as he rotates back in. So you had Merely Immortal hookshot up, cog him into position, and that forced him to jump to a remnant. But good looking out by the Dazzle, who is dead, and calling out to his team where that fire remnant was, and Spectre getting into position to catch him if he did decide to leap there, which eventually he obviously did.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
And now the push is on by Merely Mortal. Chicanometry force staffing himself forward, providing a bit of nuke damage here to Merely Mortal, who hookshots to a creep wave to escape. BizPop, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. And now both teams squaring off again, and this net worth chart excuse me, has not really changed much through both of these team fights. Everybody's scaling at about their same position. Ember Spirit's always just a little bit behind TA, with Chaos Knight just a little bit behind Ember Spirit, and then the 3-core combo following up from the Naga, Clockwork, and Spectre. But this quick kill of the Roshan may be enough to jump Naga ahead. Nope, not quite. She's still sitting 700 gold behind. But as the Naga, or I should say if the Naga decides to continuously push down these lanes with the Radiance, she should start to pass the Chaos Knight, and possibly even the Ember Spirit. It'd be hard to catch up to the Ember Spirit at this point, as he's starting to do a fair amount of damage and makes quick work of these creep waves himself. So,
Players here.
pings coming out from Kick-Ass Patrol as they're trying to defend this tier 2 tower bot. 17 shortcuts, acting as the tank here, poking his face out the deepest. I know he has a remnant somewhere. Oh, it's back in the fountain. You have TA blink onto him, and he is going to blink back to the fountain to that remnant. You have 2 smokes available to Kick-Ass Patrol, and it looks like 2 smokes available to the TA squad. Hook shot into 17 shortcuts, and he's able to escape again? Where the hell did he go? Oh, it wasn't quite to the fountain, but it was way the hell back there. So that was spam clicking that activate button, because I thought he was dead as that hook shot latched and El Polo blinked forward and started doing a massive amount of damage, but he was able to get back to the safety of his allies, and now maps being drawn on, indicating that they want to sweep the jungle and maybe take the top lane. I'm not sure what Spectre was trying to indicate there, but the TA squad are gathering up. They ping out the double damage rune, and with TA having another Aegis, they're definitely looking to be aggressive here. She not only has the Aegis, but she's close to in fact, she has it. She has enough money to burn the Aegis, die, buy back, sell her phase boots, and buy boots of travel, then rejoin her allies in whatever fight takes place. Presuming she doesn't buy anything else right now. And I don't know what else she would buy beyond this. Catching
Jackpot.
Catching Trigonometry out, El Polo cut through him pretty quickly. It looked like the Winter Wyvern was getting in position just to see if he could scout out the enemy. And some excellent control coming out from both squads here. But Dr. Dread stepping onto the low ground for just a second, gets hookshot by Merely Mortal, and the weave coming out from Tiny Ant King is going to provide enough support for Team Anarchy that Dr. Dread goes down. Silky Johnson engaging against El Polo here, who blinks forward and instead focuses on the Invoker, and with 3 shots drops him. Dr. Dread buys back. Shackle shots El Polo to Tiny Ant King, allowing time for his allies to escape, get back to the fountain, and hopefully regenerate a little bit. Now Naga Siren just being obnoxious, hanging out in the fountain, popping Song of the Siren, while the rest of her team focuses on the barracks. Shackle shot being thrown out, and does hook against the real Guppy here, but he does get shallow graved up, so he'll be alive for a little bit longer. But Trigonometry throwing out the Winter's Curse is going to stall up the team long enough that they're able to drop the Dazzle and the Naga Siren. Now the chase is on. Silky Johnson trying to catch Darmin Blade. Reality Rifts in. Is going to be able to get the stun. He's missing a ton due to not only the amulet from Dazzle, but the 17 shortcuts, knowing where he's at, knowing he can't escape, just walks up and burns him down with a flame guard of his own. So it's no radiance, but it'll do the job. But Spectre was able to stay alive there quite a while from not only the medallion from Dazzle, but the mischance from Radiance, keeping Silky a little bit from hitting every attack. And he's picked up 2 javelins, so that's not going to be the case much longer. He'll clear out probably this creep wave and then finish off his Monkey King bar, and those missed chances will be a thing of the past. And MKB is really a no-brainer here. I'd say, even on Ember Spirit, instead of finishing off a second Daedalus, probably just replace the bottle with an MKB, because there's 2 Radiants. You're never going to completely miss it. I have no idea what Clockwork's building towards here. He has a courier in his inventory? So sure, the Aghanims and the Blade Mail, no-brainers for Clockwork. Those are items number 1 and 2. He also has the Gem of True Sight, which is just kind of a middle finger being thrown out to Yukaiko, saying, hey, no more Ghost Walk for you. And you can tell he hasn't really been doing it much lately. It's more that EMP, Deafening Blast, EMP, Tornado, Cold Snaps. Haven't seen much in terms of the Ghost Walk anymore, as he was cut out too many times in the early game. Tiny Ant King pinging out the Ember Spirit in the middle, but he zips back to his allies. And this is where Naga starts to get dangerous. You can see her pushing the top wave, the middle wave. And this top wave missing the melee barracks. They're going to have to come back and defend this eventually. Additional Naga illusions rotating through the bottom lane. Doesn't really capture anyone, so it does split the attention of Kick-Ass Patrol a little bit. That's about it. Man, the burn damage onto that middle lane. So now this lane's going in half health against the creeps of the Radiant side. Dr. Dread trying everything he can to isolate these illusions, but as he does so, El Polo Diablo blinks forward and engages on him. Silky and Trigonometry look to engage, but the song coming out from Guppy is going to put a halt to that, and Team Anarchy decide, hey, that might have been a little too aggressive, let's fall back, reset, regroup. Moonchar being picked up by Templar Assassin is her 6th slot item. She also finished the Boots of Travel, so at this point she can eat the Moonchar and she'll still have 3k to spend on something. Hell, maybe another moon shard.
Jackpot.
So at this point, I think everything's looking like it's one big team fight away. If Kick-Ass Patrol can isolate the TA, drop her, and then I don't know. They have a mountain to cut down here in the Spectre now that he's finished his heart. See what the vision looks like.
Incoming.
Yeah, they're isolated to a whole lot of nothing here. If they can defend the high ground, Guppy popping his ultimate here, catching out Chaos Knight and Winter Wyvern, but instead they decide to rotate into the middle, where Merely Immortals isn't able to target anyone specifically, and now the 5-man squad of Kick-Ass Patrol is going to capture El Polo Diablo, and that's the kill that they needed. But in the top lane, they do finish off the tower, and now it's just split pressure. They're able to drop the melee barracks in the bottom. They finished off the ranged racks on the top, and they're able to stage a defense. They kill the TA, they kill the Naga, they kill the Dazzle. But now all that's standing between them and Mega Creeps is one ranged barracks. Looking at the buyback status, everyone has it. Everyone that they killed has buyback. The only person who doesn't for a few seconds is Darkmoon Blade, who he's in no true threat of dying right now. And Merely Mortal, who's he's just off doing his own thing. Looks like he's trying to farm up his Shivas. He rotates back to base. 17 shortcuts, right-clicking the tower a couple times, finishes off the tier 2 tower. And now Kick-Ass Patrol in the middle lane. I don't think they can do this. They do force the buyback out of Naga, who has her ultimate back now, thanks to the Octarine Core providing the decreased cooldown time. She's going to send those illusions down the lane, and there it goes. All the progress they made in that middle lane is now for naught, as they try desperately to kill these illusions, but using spells, skills, whatever they can, and just dragging the creeps back. Silky Johnson trying to sneak a Roshan in here, but the rockets come out from Clockwork. They scout it out. And now a hookshot comes in, lands on Invoker, and that'll be the end of Invoker very quickly here. Silky knows it, and he doesn't even bother to turn his head and look over his shoulder. He says, I need to get the hell out of here. Sorry, man. Which is absolutely the correct call. He cannot afford to be caught out there next to the Invoker. The entire Kick-Ass team do have buyback, so they are ready to defend with a vengeance, but buybacks or not, I think if they just throw all 5 of their lives into this barracks, it's going to be the end of it. This courier needs to be very careful, because it's going to run into multiple TA heroes, and that's going to be the end of that courier. It had 525 net worth on it, so that's the bracer that Ember Spirit had been saving for reasons unknown, and it looked like he was trying to finish off a Divine Rapier. He was trying to finish the Divine Rapier and wasn't able to do so. I'm guessing that had to be the play. Now the illusions attack of the ranged barracks. Darkmoon Blade moves up. Ember Spirit's in position here. And they go onto the TA. There's the Aegis dropped, or the Spectre. Now Winter's Curse being thrown onto the Clockwork to keep El Polo Diablo busy and distracted. And they are going to kill the TA here, but not before she gets shallow graved and eats a cheese. So she's back to full health. Now Merely Mortal trying to make an escape of his own, but at this point the barracks has already fallen. Tiny popping a smoke on his way out just to ensure his retreat. Now merely mortal teleporting out himself, and buybacks coming out in mass from Kick-Ass Patrol as they desperately try to save what they can here. They're going to eventually drop El Polo Diablo, this time for real, as their tier 4s are under threat. Dark Moon Blade sitting in position and tanking the damage from Wind Ranger is able to kill her, and this is the mountain of damage that they had to output that I was talking about. El Polo Diablo, meanwhile, buying back, teleporting into the base, and carving through the remaining heroes of Kick-Ass Patrol, and that's going to be game, as all the buybacks have been expended except for that of the Invoker. The towers have fallen, the lanes are pushed in, and that is game 2 going the way of Team Anarchist. Game 2, much closer than Game 1. I think towards the 30-40 minute mark there. Then checking out the chat here, but at the 30-40 minute mark, it was really anyone's game. Anyone could have won a big team fight and collapsed it there, but the split push coming out from Naga was enough to buy them the space, and Merely Mortal having an outstanding Night Tonight, going 13-3 and 21 on the Clockwork. That's after he went like, I don't know, 26-2 and 84 on the Broodmother. Not exactly sure what his final score wound up being in that game, but it was an incredible Broodmother performance. And on Clockwork, I think one of the biggest turning points in the game came in that middle lane where Kick-Ass Patrol had won a dominant victory, and Merely Mortal was able to buy back, re-engage into the enemy lineup, create space with Spectre kind of dancing around and buying time for his teammates to get back into the fight, and as a result was able to even the odds and team wipe Kick-Ass Patrol, who had only lost, I think, 1 or 2 supports in wiping out Team Anarchist with their initial push. So GG, well played by both teams. Team Anarchy continuing their undefeated streak here in Season 9 as they push their record to a 6-0. Kick-Ass Patrol not completely on the opposite end of the spectrum here, but they are sitting at 1-5 to start the season off, but there's still plenty of games to be played. I am Darmin, coming to you live on twitch.tv/DarminCast, twitter.com/DarminCast. YouTube link is in the profile below. I will be posting the videos on demand to the highlight sections of my my Twitch channel, as well as uploading them to YouTube. So feel free to subscribe, like, share, follow, tell your friends, family, enemies, whoever, and we will go from there. So thank you very much, everyone out there, for tuning in, and until next time, good fun, have luck, and I will see you in the world of Dota. Alright, thanks, peace.